So you're in with me on the same roller coaster. Anyway, we're right now in the middle of Chaf Av Mad Aleph. Okay, good. Middle of Chaf Av Mad Aleph, and actually we're still dealing here at this point. Hopefully, for Baruch Hashem, until the bottom of the page, we're still dealing with Bameh Madlikin, with different candles. Okay. Gufa. Okay, Gufa. Rav Shimon ben Elazar Omer. Everybody see it in the middle of the page? Now keep in mind Rav Shimon ben Elazar, because he's going to be the guy who's going to get us off topic. Seeing we mentioned one statement of Shimon ben Elazar, on the bottom of the page we're going to mention a completely different statement of Shimon ben Elazar, completely different topic, simply about about Beged and Tuma and Tzaras and Echveis Vos, okay? So that's how we get into that, just so that you know who's responsible for this. So Rav Shimon ben Elazar Omer, this goes back to the different types of oils we can use. Ein Madlikin B'Tzari. Tzari was balsam, if you remember, okay? And you remember the reasons why? There were two reasons why you can't light with balsam.
With flashes or something.
One was you may come to use it. It smells so beautifully. You may come to pull the oil out, which would be a decreasing of the oil, which would be therefore considered mechabe. And the other question, as Archie pointed out, is very flammable, very unstable, and consequently you may burn your house down. And we had that wonderful story about the mother-in-law who did it to her daughter-in-law. That was a great story. Okay. V'chein ha'yirav Shimon ben Elazar Omer tzari einu el asraf me'atzei ketaf. That tzari is really the sap that comes from atzei ketaf, is balsam tree. That's exactly what tzari is. So in Madlikim Tzari, this is the same thing. So this is Rav Shimon ben Elazar. Rav Shmuel Omer. Once again, the Rabbi Shmuel is going to be the next score. Is going to be Rav Shimon Elazar and Rav Shmuel on this other topic. That's why this is. We're going to get into that. Anything that comes that is a derivative of a tree, we don't really like. We cannot use for oil. Okay. So something like therefore tzari, which comes off a tree, he would exclude.
Olive oil comes from a tree.
Olive oil does not come from a tree. It comes from a fruit. It comes from a fruit.
Oh, you mean the tree itself? The bark.
Right, the sap. Okay, so right, okay. So it means koliotmin, anything that's really coming off the tree, whether it's a derivative of the tree, which would be some form of sap or something. So Rabbi Shmuel ben Brok Omer emadlikim el biyotzim min apri. We can only use, and here's where the olives come in. We can only use that which comes off the fruit, which would exclude, by the way, itron, which smells terribly, tzari, which is not from a fruit, because that's from the sap. It excludes shemen dogim, which is from fish oil, which is not from a tree, which is not from a fruit. So all of these would be excluded. So the only thing used is min apri. These are very exclusionary kinds of statements, right? They're very limiting. And Rabbi Tarfon Omer emadlikin el b'shemen zayis belvad. Okay, so this is famous Rabbi Tarfon. The only thing you can use for hadlakas neiros on Shabbos is shemen zayis belvad. And when these statements were said, so it looks like there was a whole discussion going on. Amad Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri al Raglos. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri got up, not Rav Yochanan ben Bruch, Rav Yochanan ben Nuri said, and he said, Ma yasu anshi Bavel she'en lahem el Hashem mishum shmim. What about the people in Bavel? All they have is sesame oil, sesame seed oil. Ma yasu anshi Mad, then what about people in Media? She'en lahem el Hashem anagozim. They only have nut oil, walnut oil. Ma yasu anshi Alexandria she'en lahem el Hashem tznonis. They only have radish oil. I'm not sure what kind of radishes, whatever it is, some kind of vegetable. Ma yasu anshi Kapotkia. This was another country. It's up in the north. She'en lahem lokach v'kach ela neft. The only oil that they have, the only fuel they have is neft, which is naphtha, which may not be good, but it's the only thing that they have up there. Ela said Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Ela ein lecha ma she'amru chachamim ein madlikim. The only thing that we're going to really rely upon is you go back to the Mishnah. Whenever the Chachamim said you cannot use, you cannot use, and whenever the Chachamim said you can use, you can use. So we're going back really to what is listed in the Mishnah, and what did the two Mishnahs tell us so far? You can light with shemoneh-esrei al yachelev. You can light with chelev mevushal. And the Chachamim said echad mevushal v'echad mevushal you could light with, whether it's fat that's cooked or not fat. The last mission we had on Chavdal Amud Bet was we had a whole series of discussions here, seemingly in the Mishnah. We can use shemoneh-esrei and itron maybe not because of Kavanah Shabbos, but the Chacham say you could use itron, and you can use b'chol hashmonim, b'shemen shumshmim, b'shemen agozim, b'shemen tznonos, b'shemen dogim, b'shemen bakuros, b'itron u'b'nei. So in other words, this is what he's referring to, this statement of Chachamim on Chavdal Amud Bet, in the middle of the Mishnah, where they include all these different shmonim. The only ones they're going to exclude really is shemoneh-esrei. or and even they even include itron, and all the others can be included, not to exclude them.
So all these chachamim now were saying you can't, even though.
So all these guys were saying you cannot. Even though the Chachamim in the Mishnah said you could, but we had other opinions in the Mishnah that were also limiting. Rabbi Shmuel said you couldn't use itron, right? And the Chachamim said you can. Rabbi Tarfon said you can only use Shem and Zayit. So Rabbi Tarfon is not a new statement. The others here are new exclusivities or limitings on what you can use. Okay, umadlikim b'shemen dagim u'bi'itron, and we're continuing now, I guess, in the Mishnah that you can light as well. Continuing the Brisa, you can light with shemen dagim or fish oil, and itron is this smelly stuff. Rabbi Shimon Shizuri Omer, madlikin b'shemen pakuos u'beneft. You can even light with shemen pakuos. Pakuos is some kind of gourd or some kind of like a cucumber, I think. U'beneft, neft is naphtha, and Simchas Omer kol hayotzim min habasar ein madlikin bo ela b'shemen dagim. Simchas makes a statement, and we'll discuss this in a moment, that the only oil derivative that is processed from meat protein, animal protein, is going to be shemen dagim. So now, what did we had? The Chachamim said 3 or 4 lines above, pretty much the same thing. We had it before. I'm sorry, not the Chachamim. Emadlikin umadlikin b'shemen dagim ubeitron. You can light with shemen dagim. Nowhere else is there ever included any other type of animal oil or fat. So the Gemara says, isn't Simchas really Simchas Tanakama? Isn't Simchas the same thing as the Tanakama? The Tanakama says you can use fish oil, and Simchas says the only oil that comes off of living animals is going to be fish oil. Isn't that the same thing? So the Gemara gives an answer that you've seen before. Iko benad Rav Bruna Marav. So the Rav Bruna Marav says if you mix in together some other types of shemen with this kind of oil, will it be good or will it be not good? So the Gemara says one of them will hold that it's not good and one will hold that it is good. Below Masayim, we really don't know which of Simchas or which of the Tanakama is going to hold that if you include another type of oil together with this fish oil, it's still going to be okay. If you mix fish oil and let's say tallow, fat, you can't eat it, but you could surely, cook it. You could use non-kosher animal's fat. Yeah, you can use a kosher animal you can use a part of the kosher animal that's not kosher. Correct.
But even non-kosher animal.
Yes, 100%. One of the you can use chazer fat. Yes, you can. One of the real questions that they had back was, of course, candles would drip. You have to be extremely careful what was on the table, right? Today we use paraffin. Paraffin is a petroleum derivative. Is that correct? You told me that.
Yeah,
okay.
It is.
So it's like correct. So it's a natural ingredient. It's an inorganic ingredient.
Organic, but not
organic.
No, it's an organic. Right, it's organic, but not from
animals.
Not from animals.
Not from animals. It's an organic molecule, but it's not.
Animals, like fish things that settle to the bottom.
Birds, it's organic.
Oil is sea creatures settle for millions of years and it turns into oil.
Okay, right.
A million years ago,
Yeah, at least.
But it's a bit so far removed, it's not considered that, right? Yeah. So, I'm sorry.
I don't know.
So, but the bottom line is, if you dropped the stuff onto your food, it would not make it non-kosher. That's the key about paraffin.
Yeah.
And whereas
machine oil. I wouldn't recommend it.
It's the same.
Just different viscosities.
Yeah, it's different
viscosities, different processing, different types. It's all the same. Right, we're all going to send us out to the Alberta tar sands for a fact-finding mission. Come back with Canadian oil.
Okay.
Paraffin does come from a non-kosher animal. Yeah, but that's so changed.
Paraffin is from petroleum.
That came from.
Right. I don't know.
5 billion years ago or something.
Okay, there we go. Okay, we're almost at the turn of the century. I'll make it 5 billion and 1. Okay, now. So at any rate, this is the end of the Gemara that deals at this point with parts about Ben Mamad Leakin. So I'm just warning you. Here we go. Okay, put seatbelt on, put shoulder harness, crash helmet. Okay, Tanya. So now we have a brisa. It's a brisa completely unrelated, but seeing we mentioned Rabbi Shimon Lazar and Rabbi Shmuel, we got to throw this again in here at this point. Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar Omer, Kolayotze min ha'etz. So in other words, Rav Shimon Elazar talked before about you couldn't light with sari, and then we also talked about the fact that Rabbi Shmuel said that something that comes from the eitz you cannot use for hadlaka. So this is kolayotze min ha'etz, anything that comes from a derivative from a plant or from a tree. And Rashi says the specifics that are being referred to here is tzemer gefen, which I think he means cotton, and yes, tzemer gefen is cotton, correct? And canvas, which comes from burlap. Burlap.
Isn't canvas also cotton?
Canvas is cotton?
I don't know today, I don't know.
Canvas, where does canvas come from? Hemp? Hemp, the hemp plant. So canvas is hemp, right, that's correct. We're going to go smoke it. Okay, now, kolayotze, that's correct. It's the part that you smoke that you will not get high on. So, kolayotze min ha'etz, now here's the halacha. Ein bo mishum shalosh al shalosh. So I got to give you a short introduction. This at least, there's a good handout. There's two sides to it. Please only stay with, well, you can actually use the other side, but it's only going to confuse you. And this,
I like the first side.
okay, one, I hope there's enough, okay? I'm looking at the English side. This is just an introduction about what we're about to get into. Do we have enough? We're good? We're in? There's more coming around?
We need two more.
Yeah.
A couple more. It should be, I think, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We might be one short. Okay, well, I need one for myself. I don't have anywhere else. Okay, so here we go. The introduction about garments that become tummy. There are two types of garments. Two categories of garments. The Gemara discusses the two most small pieces of garments. This is what we're about to do, including those that are able to become tamei and when they're not able to become tamei. The small piece of garments are divided into two categories. Now pay careful attention. There's pieces that are called shalosh al shalosh etzbaos, 3 by 3 finger breadths. This is a finger breadth, right? Okay, 3 pieces by 3 pieces. It's like a square, like 3 inches by 3 inches.
Fingers are together, though.
Fingers are together, thank you. So let's say 3 inches by 3 inches. That's a pretty small piece of a garment.
Yeah.
Who could use a garment like this? No one. You could use it maybe to attach to another garment, but it's like a patch on a patch or something like that. So a poor person would use it. By the way, to confuse you, it's going to be called in the Gemara shalosh al shalosh.
Right.
The etzbos is going to fall off.
Okay.
Now, I'm only mentioning that because the second type is called shlosha al shlosha tfachim. Okay, and the word tfachim, which is a 3 by 3 hand breadth, and this is a hand breadth. Okay, so we'll say that's about 4 inches. Okay, approximately 4 inches, 3.8 inches or so. They say 4 inches.
One finger more than 3.
No, no. It is 3 of these. I'm sorry. 3 of these by 3 of these.
Okay, right.
Okay, so 12 inches by 12 inches. Okay, I say tefach is 4 inches, 3 tefachim is going to be 12 inches. So a foot by a foot. That's not so bad. So the confusing part is the Gemara is going to use shalosh al shalosh and shlosha al shlosha. So for those of you who are not careful about dikduk, too bad, okay? But it further complicates the confusing part of this Gemara. So the Gemara uses the masculine word for 3 shlosha to refer to 3 tfachim, which is a masculine noun, and the feminine form for 3 shalosh to refer to etzbos, which is a feminine noun. Okay. Generally, when the abbreviation gimel appears in the Gemara, gimel al gimel, and Rishonim in the Sugya represents the feminine shalosh. So you will see it, and you get used to it after a while. So shalosh al shalosh is the small thing of 3 finger by 3 fingers, and shlosh al shlosh is 3 hand breadths by 3 hand breadths. The difference between these two categories of garments that of a garment is only 3 etzbos by 3 etzbos, 3 fingers by 3 fingers, then it's useful only for a poor person who hoards even small scraps of material to use it. So it's considered a beged for a small person. In order to become tamei, in order to talk about saras and tum and all that, it has to be a beged. It can't be a loose piece of nothing. It can't simply be a random piece of cloth that's a half inch. That can't become tummy. It's not a usable item. It has to be a beged. When we talk about saras of a beged, it has to be a beged. So if you were to find a beged that had saras on it, and it was a small beged, 12 inches by 12 inches, that would be a beged for everybody. We'll learn why. Right? If it's only 3 inches by 3 inches, that might be a beged for only a poor person. If it's 1 inch by 1 inch, found a scrap of beged, and you found on it, you found some kind of thing that looked like saras, it's not saras, or it's not a beged. So therefore, this is the first thing. So if it's 3 by 3 tefachim, then even rich people find it useful and may keep it. If it's 3 by 3 etzbos, then only a poor person would use it. So it would be, in other words, it's more logical to say that if I have a beged, it's going to be the larger of the two that I would want to include as a beged rather than smaller of the two. If I were looking to include something that's not a full beged, and I wanted to extend what a beged means from being a garment that I wear like a toga, like a jacket, like a shirt, like a tunic, I would extend it to something that is the smallest possible piece of material that everybody would keep, including rich and poor. To extend it further, I would include it even for a smaller piece of a garment. Okay, then there are two categories of tuma, which are, number one, tumas nagaim. This refers to a garment upon which green or red spots appear. You would probably call this mildew of some sort, not paint. This is actually just in the garment, in the fabric itself, which are classified as nigei begadim, which is a type of tsaras that affects the garment. We're not dealing here with tsaras on the person. We're not dealing with tsaras on the house. We're dealing with tsaras on the begadim. And then we also have other different types of tuma, which are tumas meis and tumas sheretz and so forth. Tumas meis being more chamor and tumas sheretz being less chomer, though you'll see that there are certain chumers for tumas sheretz that tumas meis doesn't have. The Mishnah in the Goyim teaches that only garments made of wool or flax, semer or pishtim can become tamei with tumas negayim, and everyone agrees with this law. So that's also an important rule. So when it comes to tuma for negayim, and this you would only know it based upon looking at the psukim, which talks about beged, and periodically it mentions when discussing begadim of tuma, it says beged. I'll just read you the first pasuk about negay begadim. V'abeged kiyeh bo negat tzaras. When a garment has negat tzaras, this is chapter 13 in Parshas Tazria, bebeged tzemer or bebeged pishtim, whether it's a beged of tzemer or beged of pishtim, and then it talks about the shtiba erev, it's the warp or woof, and la pishtim v'la tzomer, which is made of flax or wool, or ba'ar, or it could be a piece of skin, of leather, or b'chom lechasar, that's also included. But in terms of other fabrics that are not made of linen or wool, such as cotton, such as canvas, would not become tuma for tumas nagayim. Even if you had this kind of sackcloth is a good example of something that's made from canvas, right? That's what sackcloth is made from, I think. Or maybe it's made from goat's hair. Goat's hair. Okay, it's made from goat's hair. That could not be tumas nagayim.
Yeah, but it's goat's hair.
Right, correct. Okay, that or a canvas type of garment, which is very rough, it's usually not made into garments. So the only types of garments that can be is going to be type garments made of tzemer or pishtim. That's for negayim.
Right, so if you see it in other stuff, it's just not...
It's not tzaras. It does not have halacha of tzaras. It can look like tzaras. It can appear to be tzaras, but it's not tzaras. It has to be based upon what the Torah tells us, only tzemer or pishtim. That's about saras. About nigei begadim. Regarding other types of tumos, there are differing opinions whether only wool or flax can become tamei. They're like tumas meis or tumas shvatzim, or other materials can also become tamei. Some maintain that other materials cannot become tamei with such tumos, just as they cannot become tamei with tumas negayim. Others maintain they can become tamei, but only when they are, and pay attention to the next words, 3 by 3 tfachim, and not when they're merely 3 by 3 etzbos. Once again, if you're excluding from a real garment to something else, it's got to be something that is at least a garment. Others maintain that even when they're only 3 by 3 etzbos, they can become tamei. Okay, so that's going to be pretty much what you need to know just to get into the sugya. It's important. Keep it handy. Okay, and I'll try to make more copies for next week for those who are short 1 or 2 of them. Okay. So let's jump into this Gemara here. Now, once again, I must confess, I did bring my art scroll with me because it is very difficult. Tanya, Rabbi Shimon Lazomer, Kol hayotzim min ha'etz, something that's not made of, that comes from the eitz, ein bo mishum shalosh al shalosh, it does not have, it can't be makabel tuma when it's only 3 etzbos by 3 etzbos. It can't.
It comes from a tree, then it's not going to be semer or pishtim.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you didn't get the chos mit semer. Okay, right. Why? Correct.
Yeah.
Right, but it could be pishtim.
Plant. I see.
Here it means
So
a
by
plant.
tree means plant.
Plea means
Plant.
correct, tree, right, okay. Right.
So here it could
It
be
actually means
sema.
plant. It means any kind of plant, right? Tree does not mean a tree. Pishtim, I guess, were considered because they were long stalks. They were considered, I guess, almost like a tree of some sort. But it's not really what we call a tree, which maintains a trunk from year to year, and of course goes into hibernation.
There are definitions of what's a shrub and what's a tree and all these things.
Right. But let's call it something which is from the plant kingdom. So anything that is from the plant kingdom is not going to be, well, it can't become mekabel tuma with 3 etzbos by 3 etzbos. Umesachim bo, and you can actually use it for schach, because it's not mekabel tuma. So in other words, it's not mekabel tuma, and you cannot use for schach anything that's mekabel tuma. So if it's made from something that comes off of any other plant material, even if you wanted to make it into a garment, you could still use it for schach, because according to Rav Shimon ben Elazar, it cannot become mekabel tuma. Okay, except chutz mi pishton, except for pishton. Then we had Rashi points out that there's a pasuk that calls pishton eitz, and we also consider it and therefore it's mekabel tumas negoyim, and because it can be mekabel tumas negoyim and other kinds of tumas, you cannot use it for schach. So you can't use flax. You can't use, I guess, even raw flax for schach in the sukkah.
But the shalosh v'shalosh, though, he's saying unless it's bigger than shalosh v'shalosh, or even
that's going to be the whole discussion of the Gemara. That's why I told you where it gets complicated. Okay, so in other words, it looks, because you could say that, well, what if it's larger than shalosh or shalosh? What is the thing? That's why I told you it's extremely complicated. Hold on. Amar Abaye. Okay, Amar Abaye. So Abaye gets up to make a statement now. So if we just learned Rav Shimon ben Elazar in terms of what he said in terms of Tuma, and now Abaye is going to say that what Rav Shimon ben Elazar says is the same thing as what Rabbi Yishmael is going to say, and we're about to read. And to further complicate things, you will have 2 Rabbi Yishmaels in this sugya, two versions of Rabbi Yishmael. And this, if there could be a sugya with all kinds of, roadblocks, this is it, folks. Okay. So Rabbi Shmuel ben Elazar, Rav Tanit Be'Eliod, Amud Davar Echad, they're saying the same thing in terms of the idea of Tuma itself. Okay, so what Rabbi Shmuel ben Elazar had the Amara, and Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar is what we just said, and Tanit Dvei Rabbi Shmuel, what's the Tanit Dvei Rabbi Shmuel? The Tanit Dvei Rabbi Shmuel, and this is here dealing with Negoyim, I believe. Correct. So Hoel v'nemra begadim b'Torah stam upart lecha kasav biechad mehem. Seeing that the Torah lists begadim in general, by Tumas Shvatzim and Tumas Meis. So it says by Tumas Shvatzim o beged o ar o chol beged o chol kli ar, and then later on it says and then it says in Tumas Negoyim, it says v'beged yabo negat tzaras v'beged semra beged pishtim. So that comes to include or identify what exactly the beged is. So hol v'nemra begadim b'torah stam seems to talk about begadim in general, that there'll be a tuma b'beged or ba'ar, and then later on there's a pasuk that says it identifies which beged semra or beged pishtim. So what do we learn? Malahalon semra pishtim afkol semra pishtim. So this comes to tell me that the same way that in the case of tzaras, the Torah is specifying that it's wool and flax, so the same thing, I've called semer ufishtim, that in all other cases that are mentioned, when it talks about a beged, it's talking specifically about wool and flax. And therefore, anything that's not wool and flax is not going to be able to become tameh in any circumstance itself. Now, so why does Rav Shimon Elazar seem to talk about 3 finger breasts, 3 etzbos? So that's a discussion in Tosfos itself. But we're going to leave that for the level on the side. But it looks like basically that, in other words, both according to Rav Shimon Elazar and according to Rabbi Shmuel, that the idea of Tuma is only going to apply to Tzemer Upishtim. And who makes this comparison? It says the 2 guys are saying the same thing. Abaye says that Rav Shimon Elazar and Rabbi Shmuel are making the same kind of statement.
we talking about tuma? Which are we talking about? Which of those categories?
We're talking about. It looks like I believe we're talking about all the kinds of tumah. The definition or the explanation to say that the beged is semro pishtim is about saras. Right. The fact that this saras beged is going to be beged semro pishtim is going to tell me that all begadim got to be semro pishtim.
Gotcha.
Okay, and anything else can't become tameh, which reduces the concerns about tumah with different types of garments that are not semer and pishtim, not wool or linen. Okay?
I don't think they had cotton in those days.
Well, they did have sackcloth.
Yeah, but didn't have cotton.
Correct. They probably didn't have cotton.
It was invented. Well, maybe grew in other parts of the world.
I don't know what else they could have. I'm not sure what else they would have had.
Silk.
They did have silk. There you go.
Okay,
but silk does not come from. Silk does not come from.
Yeah,
is that considered going from a plant?
No, that's
silk
from
comes from the worm.
No, comes from the worm.
Right. I don't know where silk would fit into this. Okay, they did not have polyester
So we're
either.
just looking for other garments.
Right. I don't know what other garments they had. You're right. It's a good question. Okay, so this is Abaye who brings down both these opinions, or said they're both saying the same thing. In other words, to say that the only types of begadim that can become tameh, whether it's tumas negoyim or tumas mace or tumas shvatzim, is going to be beged semro pishtim. I think that's what it means. Rav Amar shlosha b'shar begadim. Rav Amar, shlosha b'shar begadim ika beinayu. The difference will be between Rav Shimon Elazar and Rav Yishmael will be regarding a beged that is three tfachim by 3 tfachim. The big one. No.
Shlosha. So it's the I'm sorry.
Shlosha is the bigger one. Okay, I don't have a better way to remember except the shlosha. The extra hay means it's larger than the one without the hay. Okay, so shlosha refers to a beged. It's including. So we're saying the difference between Rav Shimon Elazar and between Rabbi Yishmael will be in regards to a beged that is gimel by gimel tfachim. Which means, and he explains which is which. The Rav Shimon Elazar Islay, that according to Rav Shimon Elazar, any other type of garment besides that's not semero pishtim will become tameh if it is large enough to be 3 by 3 tfachim. And according to Talmud Rabbi Shmuel, lastly, according to Talmud Rabbi Shmuel, there is no other kind of garment, even if it's 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim, that can become tuma. The only kind of beged that can become tuma in any size is going to be semero pishtim. So that's the machlokas between Rava and Abaye. So are they saying the same thing?
This is Rava is claiming that that's the machlokas between the other two, right?
Rava is claiming that that's the machlokas between the other two. So in other words, and according to Abaye is saying that they're saying the same thing, that according to both Rav Shimon ben Elazar and the Tana Dvei Rabbi Yishmael, nothing can become tameh unless it is semer upishtim. Okay, so far so good, yes? And according to Rava, on the other hand, only Rav Shimon Elazar would say that something that is 3 by 3 tfachim can become tameh if it's not made of semer pishtim. If something is smaller than that, right, such as 3 by 3 etzbos, then it could not become tameh. And Dvei Rabbi Shmuel would say that nothing can become tameh if it's not semer pishtim, regardless of size. Okay, so that's the opening statement. Once again, we got into this because of Rabbi Shmuel, Tana Dvei Rabbi Shmuel, and Rabbi Shimon Elazar. So now the Gemara takes from a different tack. How do we know some of these laws? So, Tekuli Almos, the Gemara says, well, here's what, both according to everybody, Tekuli Alma Mia Shalosh al Shalosh, here's the other one, Shalosh al Shalosh, is 3 fingers by 3 fingers. But semero pishtim itame ben nagayim in alan. So when it comes to how do we know that a garment that is this small for semero pishtim, that this can become tameh for ben nagayim? Ben nagayim?
Yeah, that's what it says.
Yeah, how can it with nagayim? How can it become tameh for nagayim for tzaras? How do we know that even this small can become tameh? So in other words, the only machlokas is regarding other begadim. What if they are 3 by 3 tfachim? But anything less than 3 by 3 tfachim, both Rav Shimon ben Elazar and Tana Dvei Rabbi Shmuel will agree can only apply to tuma for beged pishtim or beged semer. Correct? So how do you know that a garment this small can be considered tameh, can accept tumas negoyim, which is tzaras habeged, for beged semer pishtim. The Tanya, we have a brisa. Okay, here's the brisa. Beged, it says, the word says beged. The term beged is the pasuk that's found in, I think the one I read to you before. Actually it says, no. I'm sorry, no. It's the one I read to you before. So the pasuk says, it says, the Tanya beged, it says beged, ainly ala beged. It says you has to be a beged of tzemer, beged of pishtim, so I only know that should be a beged. That's a real garment. You guys are wearing real garments. Shalosh al shalosh minalon. How do I know that something that's this tiny little scrap, 3 fingers by 3 fingers, is considered that would also become tuma of tzaras? Talmud lomer v'ha beged. So that the pasuk opens up. It says v'ha beged ki ebo neged tzaras beveged tzemer beveged pishtim. When v'ha beged. So the hay is adding something else. It's not just the beged, but the beged including something else, which is what? Going to include even 3 by 3 by 3 little scrap that only an ani would use. So the Gemara says, wait. How do you know you're going to include it all the way that far down? The ema l'rago shlosha. Maybe it only comes to include 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim. Okay. So the Gemara says, Lav kal v'chomer. I'll tell you, I could know that from a kal v'chomer, because the next part of the pasuk says, O bashti o bo'erev la pishtam v'latzomer. If you find the tzaras in a warp or the woof of a linen or the wool. So the warp or woof is the threads going back and forth. So that's a pretty small piece. How many threads do you need to go back and forth to make a warp and a woof? 3 threads. 3 threads. Otherwise, less than 3 threads, it'll undo.
It'll fall apart. Yeah.
It'll fall apart. So you need to begin the beged 3 warp, 3 back and forth. That's already beged. So I know. So I don't need to have a pasuk to tell me that something that there's a scrap that's 3 fingers by 3 fingers. That should already be included for shesi v'erev, which is a part of the beged that's on the warp and the wolf. So hashdo shesi v'erev matami. If I find a tzaras on the loom, and you just started doing the loom, it's matame. Shlosha mibaye. Do I need to have an additional lima to tell me 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim? That's huge compared to what would be a tuma on the warp and the woof. So the Torah actually identifies beged, and then it says if you find it on the warp and the woof, if it's on the warp and the woof. How much on the warp and the woof? It doesn't say, but the minimal is going to be of shesi va'erev. It doesn't use the term beged. It says o bashesi o ba'erev la peshnev la tzomer. So that means anything that would be the warp and the woof, which would be much smaller, which is a few inches. So it's not something that's 12 inches by 12 inches. So hashda shesi v'erev matame shlosha miboy. Do I need a drasha to tell me from ha beged to say the beged includes something smaller? That's already in the pasuk itself. So Gemara says, Ihachi, if that's the case, shalosh nami. That's why do I need a pasuk? Why does Habeged need to tell me 3 fingers by 3 fingers? Leisei b'kal v'chomer. Let me learn it from the same kal v'chomer. If shesi v'erev is going to be chayiv and finding a tzaras on this kind of 3 little couple inches of warp and woof, do I need to tell me that a scrap of beged that's 3 fingers by 3 fingers is considered a beged? It's the same size. So Ella says the Gemara, no. Ella, and the answer is a little bit unclear. Ella shlosha the chazu bein lashim bein yanim asi b'kal v'chomer. Shalosh lanim hu the chazien lashirin lo chazien lo asi b'kal v'chomer. So Gemara says, no, you want to know something? If I'm learning beged, if I'm learning the pasuk from a beged, so I could learn the kal v'chomer. Actually, if I'm not learning from a beged, but if I'm trying to make an application from the warp and the woof to a beged, so any beged that's going to be usable for anybody, that should automatically be included. But if I want to include something that's not really a beged, it's a beged only for a certain category of people. So the Torah goes out of its way to say, ha-beged, the garment, becomes including the garment that you would not think is normally a garment until I had the drush to say it is a garment. So the drush is, to learn from the kal v'chomer, from the fact the warp and the woof is going to be matame in a small amount, I could use that to include 12 inches by 12 inches.
No, the other way I would say.
No, from the kal v'chomer I include... No, I include that, the kal v'chomer. If the kal v'chomer is telling me that something small that's on the warp and the woof is going to be matame, I'm going to include something that is going to be a garment for everybody, for ashirim and aniyim, which is 12 by 12. 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim. When the pasuk comes to say v'ha beged, it comes to say that I'm going to include the garment that you would not normally think to include. I'm going to include a garment that only some people consider a garment. That's how the drush is. It's a complicated drush. So read again. Ihachi shalosh shosh nami leis v'kal v'chomer. So the Gemara says no. Ela shlosha the chazu bein le'ashim bein le'aniyim. The garment that's 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim, which is a piece of material that an usher would keep. I'm not sure what you could use for it. You could use it for a handkerchief. Could use it for a loincloth. 12 inches by 12 inches. How big are your handkerchiefs? Go measure them out. It's a handkerchief. It's a smaller. It's a scarf. Okay, it's a scarf they put here. That's already a beged. That's already some type of garment. How big is this tie? I don't know. But something that's only three fingers by 3 fingers, I would never know to include that into the term of tzemer or pishtim. That is what the pasuk says. Ha beged comes to teach me that is going to include even 3 by 3 etzbos. That's the drasha. Okay. So shalosh lanim hu de chazin. It's only good for anim. Lashim lo chazin lo asi bekal v'chomer. And therefore, I could not learn it from the kal v'chomer. The only way I could learn it is because of the pasuk. Okay. So what are we learning so far? So from the kal v'chomer of Shesi and Erev, I'm learning that I can include even a small garment, such as 12 inches by 12 inches. Because if I can include the small part of the warp and woof that has its negat saras, I can include a small garment too, because it comes right after garment. And to include 3 by 3 etzbos, this 3 by 3 fingers, 3 inches by 3 inches, I'm going to include from the drasha of the habeged. The habeged is coming to include something I would not normally come to include. The pasuk, if I left that habeged, would have said as follows: Kiyebon, or it's a curse said just beged kiyebon negat saras beged semer beged pishtim. That would be any beged, a real beged. The fact that it says habeged comes to include something that's not a real beged. You don't like it. It's a drasha. Okay.
No, it's even though I might have gone the other way.
You might have learned this drasha for something else completely. You might have learned it the other way. Correct. You might have learned it the other way if the Gemara does not. The more important thing is you might have used this drasha for 1,000,001 other different types of things. And that's what the Gemara's question is going to be now. Okay.
You're asking this ha to support
right
a substantial argument.
Yes, you are. It's correct. I'm not sure I can argue with drushes.
Yeah.
That's what you say. You go the other way. You could say the warp and the woof. You learn a small one. The fact that it says it has to be a beged, though, already starting to say, hey, don't learn a kal v'chomer for a big beged, right?
Right. Ha beged, correct. So it might be the and ha. Might just be the ha. The and ha. So, and the beged is including something, and the and is saying and something else. Okay?
We're good.
Okay, we're good so far. No, but here's what's unclear so far. You're not convinced that this is the right drasha. Right? You're saying that viha beged could come to include something. You guys, in fact, what you're arguing is it should include the other type of the way, it should go the other way. But what makes it, what it underscores here is what the Gemara is about to ask. Maybe it includes something else. How do I know to include that it's going to be 3 by 3 etzbos of semer fishim? Maybe viha beged comes to include other materials that are not semer pishtim.
Right, which is the position of one of them.
Right, which looks like the other position, correct. So how do I know that that includes specifically beged semer pishtim that's only 3 by 3 etzbos? So says the Gemara, we're continuing the Gemara, the last one in line is taima. Taima the kasvei kra. The reason that I learned 3 by 3 fingers is from the pasuk is because there is a pasuk to tell me that which is viha beged. Halo kasvei kra, but if I didn't have the pasuk, lo gamrina mekal v'chomer, I would not have learned 3 by 3 etzbos from the kal v'chomer. I would have only learned 3 by 3 tfachim. So the Gemara says ve'ema, maybe the drush is coming to say ve'ema l'rabos shlosha al shlosha b'shar begadim. Maybe it's coming to tell me that not just a beged of tzemer pishtim, but a beged that's not made of tzemer pishtim. What's the smallest real beged that you can include? It's 3 by 3 tfachim, 12 inches by 12 inches. That's a beged. That's once again a handkerchief. I could include a handkerchief. I can include any small beged that's made of canvas, that's made of, what was the other one there? So, tzemer geffen, or some silk, or whatever. So the Gemara says, why can I not learn it? So, Amar Kra, beged tzemer upishtin. The pasuk says, beged tzemer upishtin. That's exactly what it says. Va'beged kiyebo neged tzuras, beveged tzemer beged pishtim. And then later on, it uses the term again and says, beged tzemer ubeged pishtim. And this is, I'm not sure if it refers to the same pasuk itself, Beveget Semer Beget Pishtim, or later on at the end where it says Beget Semer Pishtim. I'm not sure which of the psukim it's actually referring to. So it says Beget Semer Pishtim, that's actually, I think it's the second one, the one in pasuk Nantes. Zos Toras Negat Saras, Beget At Semer Oa Pishtim. It says Beget At Semer Oa Pishtim. So it says it again, that's Beget Semer Pishtim, which means Beget Semer Pishtim in Midi Achrini Lo. But some other type of garment is not going to be included. So therefore, even if I want to include something else for Ha Beged, I can't include anything else, anything that's out of the box, what's not included by the words Beget Semer Pishtim. What could I include? Something that's very small, that's made of Beged Pishtim, that you may not think is a Beged. It's only a Beged for a really poor person to use for a patch. So the Gemara says, so ve'emakir imet mishalosh al shalosh avo shlosha al shlosha mitame. Maybe I could say that, you know what, that when I'm including semro pishtim to exclude other types of begadim that are not semro pishtim, maybe I'm really coming to exclude other begadim that are 3x3. The only type of garment that I can use for 3x3 fingers is semro pishtim. But I can't use another garment that's 3x3 fingers if it's not Semer Pishtin. However, Avol Shlosha Shlosha Mitame, but if it's 3x3 Tfachim, 12 inches by 12 inches, it could be Mitame. So how do I know that? So the Gemara says, Trei Mutek Siv, there are two times where it says in this parsha, Beget Semer Pishtim, it says Beget Semer, and then it says, O Beget Pishtim. It says it twice. It's once it says at the beginning, Beget at Semer, O Beget Pishtim, Beget Semer, O Beget Pishtim, and later on it says, Beget Semer, O Pishtim. Zosaras Nagat Saras, Beget at Semer, Pishtim. So that says it twice. One time is going to exclude other types of garments, and one type is going to exclude other types of garments, even if they're larger than simply 3 etzbos by 3 etzbos. Okay? So, chad lemute shalosh shalosh, v'chad lemute mishlosho ad shlosha. And one will exclude 3x3 fingers, and one will exclude 3x3 tfachim. Okay? So far so good. So whose opinion is this? Is going to be according to Abaye, who's telling us that they all are going to exclude both Rabbi Shmuel, Tanadvi Rabbi Shmuel, and Rabbi Shimon Lazar are excluding all types of garments that are not made of Tsemra Pishtim and not made of Tsemra Pishtim. Say yes, you understand. Okay.
So what did we say they're arguing about? Maybe.
So we're saying that according to according to Abaye's interpretation, when we started this, both Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar all agree that the only type of garment that can be contract tuma is Tsemero Pishtim altogether. What are we learning from the Kal V'chomer? The Kal V'chomer that says that Shesi Ve'erev comes to include, even if it's 12 inches by 12 inches, the word HaBeged comes to include Beged Tsemero Pishtim, that's 3x3 fingered fingers. But anything else is out of the box. Can't be done. Can't become tzaras. So that's according to Abaye, who says everybody agrees that but Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Shmuel, and Rabbi Shimon Lazar. Well, Rava, now we come to Rava. What did Rava say? Rava came to say that no, with other begadim, this should refresh our memories. It's going to tell us this. That the machlokas between Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon Lazar is going to be about a garment that's 3x3 tfachim. That Rabbi Shimon Lazar would say that this kind of garment that's not made of semro pishtin will be considered they say a tuma, and Rabbi Shmuel says they will not. The Rav Shimon Lazar Islay Latandri Rabbi Shmuel Lesley. So Shlosha al Shlosha B'shar Begadim Minalon Shlosha Shar Begadim Minalon. How do I know that a garment that's 3x3 tfachim is going to be mekabel tuma according to Rav Shimon ben Elazar? According to Rav Shimon ben Elazar, a garment can be mekabel tuma if it's 12 inches by 12 inches, 3 tfachim by 3 tfachim. So how do I know that I can include even such a garment that is only 12 inches by 12 inches to be mekabel tuma? Where does Rav Shimon ben Elazar learn this from? We've given you the reason until now, according to the opinion of Abai, that no one learns other begadim are tamei, and we had the ha beged and the kal v'chomer, and the 2 times it says beged tzemro pishtim, to say it's only tzemro pishtim. According to Rava, Rav Shimon ben Elazar says that yes, other garments can be makabel tuma tzaras if they are 12 inches by 12 inches. How does he know that? Mina le nafka. Mina lo, where does he know that? So nafka, he learns it. May o beged. So it says in the pasuk, and it says in pasuk here, this is actually earlier on in Parshas, I think Tazria. It's actually before. It's actually with other tumas. This is about tuma, about shratzim. It says, yes, here it goes. These are the different types of shratzim. Anything that the sherets will fall on will become tamei. And here's what the garments are. Mikol kliates, O beged, O ar, O sa, kol kli asher yaseh malacha bohem. So it says O beged. So the O beged is coming to include not just a regular garment. It doesn't here talk about pishtan or tzemer. It says beged. The fact that it says O beged is including a garment, and even another kind of garment that you would not normally include, which is going to be something smaller than a real garment. What would you bump down to from a real garment? 12 by 12, 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim. So he says from this pasuk, which is talking about tumas shratzim, you're going to learn that when tumas shratzim is going to include a beged that's 12 by 12 inches. The nafka me o beged, the tanya beged, ainly ela beged. That only tells me a regular beged I can become tamei with a shratzim. Right, and it says beged in terms of the same beged comes in for tzaras. Shlosha shlosh b'shar begadim minalan. How do I know that if I have a garment that's 3 by 3 tfachim for other garments besides tzemra pishtim, how do I know that it can become tamei? Talmud lomer o beged. So it says o beged, which is the way to tell me that O is including other types of garments. This is according to Rava, just keeping our players lined up. This is Rava will use this pasuk of O beged to tell me that a garment that is at least 12 inches by 12 inches can become tamei for tzaras and for tuma, not even if it's not semro pishtim and semer, not semer or pishtim. Okay, so why what about what we're going to do with Abaye? So now I know what Rava says with Obeged. So what's Abaye going to use for Obeged for? The Abaye, so says the Gemara, Hi Obeged, my Ovidle. What does Abaye do with the words Obeged? So he says, he says he uses that, in other words, he needs that to include something that's 3 by 3 trachim for Tzemro Pishtim, the Metame B'Shwatzim, that it becomes Tamei not only with Tumat Saras, that he can apply that to Shwatzim. The pasuk of Obeged is about which kind of Tumah? Shwatzim.
Right.
So he's going to say, I need a special pasuk to make the application from Tsaras to Shwatzim.
For little ones.
For that even little garments will become Tamei. For Tumah Shwatzim. Not just the real Beged itself. The Metame B'Shwatzim. What about Rava? So how's Rava going to learn that this is going to apply to Shratzim and to Tsaras? They're 2 different types of things. So the Gemara says V'Rava. How will Rava learn it? So the Gemara says Gali Rachman Gabal Nagayim V'Huaden L'Shratzim. So Rava says if it taught me for Nagayim that it can be taught me for this, I can learn it as well for Tumah Shratzim. If it works for one, it's going to work for the other. So Abaye says I need a special drasha for Shratzim. Are you guys losing you? Some of you, okay. No, it's very difficult. In other words, Rava is saying that I learned that the other begadim are going to become tamei for 12 inches by 12 inches from Obeged. What's Abaye going to use Obeged for? To tell me that that I need to learn for Tumas Shwatzim, not just Tumah Tzaras, but even Tumas Shwatzim. So what's Rava going to say? Why do we need that? So he says, Gali Rachman Gabi Nagayim V'Huaden L'Shwatzim. What about Abaye? So Gemara says Abaye will say, you can't make the comparison. Ikal Mifrach, Ma'ala Nagayim Shishem Shesi Ve'ev Bohem. So that when it comes to Nagayim, Goyim with Tumas Saras, that's a special Tumah that even unformed wool, unformed garments at all, it's not even a small piece of garment, it's still being woven on the warp and woof can become Tameh. The case for Tumas Shvatzim does not have that application as well. So therefore, if you see that Tumas Shvatzim does not have that Chumrah, so I can make the comparison. If it's Tameh for Tumas Saras, it's going to be Tameh for Tumas Shvatzim as well. So what the Gemara says, V'idach, what about Rava? So how is he going to then justify this binyan of to apply the two together? So Gemara says as follows. It's very difficult to understand this line. V'idach, how will he learn? How will Rava learn it from? Isal kedaitach negoim chamire lichta rachmana gabe shvatzim. If you thought that negoim were more chomer because they have a special chumrah for shesi ve'er of the warp and the woof, so then lichta rachmana gabe shvatzim v'leis in the negoim inad. And the Gemara, the Torah should have written the pasuk by shvatzim, and I could learn negoim from it. The fact that the Torah wrote it by negoim is telling me I can apply it to shvatzim. If you thought that negoim are too chomer, the Torah should have written it on the other place where it's less chomer and learned it out by binyan of. I'm not very quite sure I can really explain it fully. But it's saying, in other words, that the fact that it wrote it here means it's telling me that I can learn it from that. V'idach. And what about Abaye? How does he respond to what Rav is saying here at this point? So he says, Nagoyim mishwatzim lo asu. You can't really learn Nagoyim mishwatzim. You can't learn them back and forth. You couldn't say, you could write it by shwatzim and learn it to Nagoyim, because Dikal Mifrach, because you could have learned that, not that Nagoyim is more chomer than shwatzim, but shwatzim is also more chomer. Dikal Mifrach, mala shwatzim shekem metame bechadasha, that shwatzim can be metame with nadash as a lentil seed, okay, which is much smaller than a gris. For tumas nagash, you need something the size of a gris, which is a gris is much bigger. Gris is like a penny, like the American penny. That's what they used to show us. So like the Canadian penny used to be. That's much bigger than an adasha, which is a lentil seed, which is much smaller. So you see that, lentil seed is like this, tiny, right? So therefore, you see that that shvatzim is more chamor than it is for nagayim. So you can't say that I can learn one for the other. Okay, are you guys still standing?
This last little part, definitely.
Back and forth. Okay. Okay. Now, let's make sure what time is it? 9:25. I want to get to at least another 6 lines so we can park ourselves here at least, okay? So the Gemara says, so that is about the machlokas between Abaye and Rava regarding whether Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon ben Elazar are saying the same thing, that the only beged that can become tamei is semro pishtim, and you can include a small beged of 3 by 3 etzbos. Right? But you can't include anything else. So according to Rava says, no, I can include other begadim provided they are 12 inches, 3 tvachim by 3 tvachim. I cannot include a 3 by 3 etzbos except for tzemra pishtim, but anything else such as canvas, I can include 3 by 3 tvachim. So far so good. Okay? Now here's the additional monkey wrench, okay? Amar Abaye. So, okay, Amar Abaye. Hi Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel, Mapik Me'idach Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel. Okay, so this Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel that we quoted before, which says that the only type of beged that can become tamei is going to be beged semro pishtim, is going to not agree with or be the opposite or pull away from the other Tana of Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel, which we're about to include. Okay, so in other words,
I'm not sure what Rabbi Yishmael said. In other words, he might have said 2 things.
No, well, you know one of them. You're about to hear the other one.
We know he said one. We're not sure.
Okay.
Well, it's a different Tana from the base. Is a base? Doesn't that mean from his his academy or something?
Yeah, right, great. Okay, so in other words, that would be that they're not agreeing. It's not it's not necessarily saying it's a question. It's just saying that Rabbi from this, like it's saying that from this year someone said this and someone said that. Right. Correct. But the approach of the Gemara always likes to kind of reduce the amount of conflict that there is.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, okay, right.
Amar
Abaye. Hi Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel, Mapik Meidach Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel. The Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel, that we have the following statement, Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel. This Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel 2. As opposed to the Tana Devei Rabbi Shmuel 1, it's probably the best way we can refer to them. So what does he learn from this? It says beged. This is in terms of the shvatzim. It says o beged, o tzemro, or this is back in Vayikra Yud Aleph, not about saras, about begadim for tumas shvatzim. It says beged, Ainli ala beged semro pishtim. I would think that it would include only beged semro pishtim, like it normally it talks about saras. Saras, it says specifically beged semro pishtim. When it talks about tumas shvatzim, it only says o beged. Right. So I would think that maybe beged for shvatzim is only going to be the same kind of beged as saras, which is only pishtim and semer. Minayin l'rabos semer gemalim. How do I know that this is going to include even garments made of camel's hair that's going to be coming tumas of shvatzim? V'tsemer arnovim, v'tsemer arnovim, and notza shalizim. This is rabbit's hair garments and goat's hair garments and shirav, and this is silk. And kolach is a different kind of silk, and srikim is another kind of silk. Talmud lomar o beged. So this says that o beged is going to say that all other types of garments are going to be chaya for tumas shvatzim. Okay? So it looks like that these two statements are disagreeing with each other, because from this statement it seems to say that for tumas, not for tumas nagayim, but for tumas, other types of tumas, all kinds of begadim are going to be mekabel tuma, any kind of beged, and the assumption would be maybe any kind of size, right? So the Gemara says, Rav Amar, Rava said, "Ki les leilahach tana devei Rabbi Shmuel b'shar begadim." When we said above that tana devei Rabbi Shmuel doesn't hold that you can be metame tumas in other types of garments for shvatzim, he was talking about shalosh al shalosh. So Rav is coming to kind of reduce the difference between the two tana devei Rabbi Shmuel. Rav is now saying, this is the same Rav who said before that there was a difference between the two of them. When tana devei Rabbi Shmuel looks like he was excluding all other types of materials for tumas shvatzim, that's only for shalosh al shalosh. So by 3 etzbos, by 3 etzbos. Shalosh shlosh al shlosh. However, he says that 3 by 3 tvachim is going to be mekabel tuma for tumas shvatzim, not for tzuras, not for nagaim, not for tzuras, but for shvatzim we will be. So that's the Rava kind of says they're not as opposed as you think they are. According to my opinion, they're actually only really arguing about what can apply for tumas shvatzim, which is larger than shlosha al shlosha. Can that be mekabel tuma or not? But anything smaller than that, both would agree is not. Even the second Rabbi Shmuel, who's including all kinds of garments, is going to be no, he would actually be for shalosh al shalosh. The first one would only be for shlosh al shlosha. Okay? So the Gemara says, however, Rava hu di amar shlosha b'shar begadim l'Rabbi Shmuel islay. But we just said earlier that Rava said that shlosha regarding the garment that's 3 by 3 tfachim, that Rabbi Shimon Elazar says that he does, which means l'tan dvei Rabbi Shmuel islay. It's only the ton of Rabbi Shimon Elazar. When we learned the Rava before, he talked about the difference between the two of them. Was Rav Shimon ben Elazar says that a beged that's 3 by 3 is going to become tamei, or not going to become tamei, and Rav Shimon Elazar will agree to that, and Rabbi Shmuel will not agree to that. But now we're trying to say that Rav is now saying that this Rav, that what is Rav Tan and Rabbi Shmuel talking about? Only about shlosha or shlosha that can become tamei. Previously we said Rav Shimon Elazar says no begadim is going to become tamei. When we went to learn Rava the first time around, he seemed to say that Rava is going to say that Rav Shimon Elazar will say that a beged that's not wool and linen is shlosha by shlosha, but Rabbi Shmuel will say that no beged is all. Now, how are we trying to say that Rava is now saying that therefore then really a garment that's more than 3 by 3 tzfachim is going to be therefore tamei? So the Gemara says, okay, hada be Rava me'ahi. Rava really didn't say it; he changed his mind. In other words, the earlier statement maybe he changed his mind. It's not clear which one he did. The statement before he pulled out, he changed his mind. Okay. I'm not sure if maybe we should stop here at this point. Okay, because we're going to give another answer, which is really going to talk about tzitzis. And even though it refers to this, maybe we'll hold at this point. Okay. This is a very difficult Gemara. So if we lost you some along the way, you're okay.